So there we have it then. Newcastle United 1-1 at Crystal Palace today. Thank you for joining me. And we're going to talk about the match, get into the details of it, have a bit of a chat about where we think we go from here. And yeah, just gauge everyone's reaction really and see how everyone else found it. I managed to watch most of the match today, which was interesting. At half-time, I wasn't so sure. But yeah, I think there were some positives in that result, even though the performance overall, I don't know. We'll get into it, but yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. It's gonna be a long time till January, isn't it? And I think we've got some we've got some issues that need addressing, and we've got some positives in the team too. But really, I don't know. Just it's gonna be a long time until January. Evening, Mark. Thanks for joining me tonight, and Peter too. Thank you. Yeah, Peter's read my newsletter. Fantastic. That's nice. That's kind of you. Thank you. You never know when you put stuff out there whether what you put out is good. I'm one of these people who kind of is always like I don't have loads of confidence in what I do, but when I get comments like that, it does make me feel better. But yeah, thanks. Yeah, and cheers to Mark as well, and big shout out to you, Mark, as well, because you were the first person to buy me a coffee on my little website, which you can tip people with. So I really, really appreciate that. That was really chuffed that you did that. So thank you. It means a lot. Evening, Gordon, my dad. In case you don't know that. So evening to Jan. I can never remember. Is it? Can you just type for me, Jan? I keep calling you Jan. Is it Jan? Like, as if it's like YAN, or is it Jan with a hard J? Just let me know, because I want to be able to get your name right, because you're on every stream that I do. But anyway, how did everyone think it went today? Robert Lee, I'm assuming not the Robert Lee, but it's you're all welcome. Every Robert Lee's welcome. Good point today to start, and I think that is the ultimate message from today. Is this is a good start, really, considering. Here's my thoughts, really, about the start of the game. It looked to me quite clearly that we know that Jones has spent the last 3 days having a training session each day. Now, that is not a lot of time to prepare for one match, but for me, it looked like it was clear that the defence had been worked on. I thought we were more organised in defence, and I thought that overall in the game we did okay. There were still some issues in defence, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was a perfect defensive display. There was still players making mistakes and basic ones at that sometimes. But overall, I thought we sort of did okay in defence, and you could see the sort of that it drilled into them that it was 5 at the back when we were defending, and you could see that there was a clear line of 5 when we were defending. So we obviously had. I'll just go to put the starting 11 up. So this was the starting 11. So we had obviously Mankia and Ritchie were kind of like wing backs, but when we were defending, they were as deep as Lascelles, Clark, and Kraft, who was the other one. And so we had this rigid 5, and you could see that the midfield, which I'll get onto in a minute about the midfield, but they were trying to support the defence more. You could see that the midfield had dropped back more. Not to great effect, I have to say. I think I was a bit disappointed with the midfield, and we can obviously get onto that a bit more as well. But you could see that they'd worked on defence. Now, the problem that we still had was, although they'd worked on a bit of organisation defensively, we still lacked possession. We still lacked any sort of real attacking threat going forwards, and we just couldn't get the ball out of our own half. And I took these stats at half time. Let me just get rid of the message from Robert there. Let me just remove that one. Like the stats, if you look in terms of like shots, we did all right. We had 3. They only had 4. The possessions, the massive concern again. Nearly 80% possession for Palace at half time. So like we just barely didn't see the ball, and that was massively worrying. Also, pass accuracy is a bit of a concern. We only had 99 passes and only 67% were accurate. That's not good enough, really. And I think a lot of that comes down to kind of, like the midfield panicking, all that kind of stuff. And I think, Peter, you make a good point. Is some subtle differences today. And fitness is a massive issue, and I totally agree with that as well. But I think you could see what they kind of worked on a little bit during the last few days with the defensive stuff. So I don't know. It's gonna be a long journey to if we survive this season. It's not going to be easy. And Palace really, and like I said, we restricted them in the first half to a few shots. Benteke had one really good chance in the first half that he should have scored with, and he didn't. In fact, he had more in the second half that he should have scored with and didn't. Thankfully, had a goal disallowed at the end, thankfully. But it was the right decision as well. I have to say that Benteke's disallowed goal, Palace can have no arguments with that. Clark, I think it was completely just yanked down. And okay, Benteke might still have won the header, judging by where he was positioned. But actually, Clark might have done enough to put him off or give him a more inaccurate header. So you can't say that the player would have been the same had Clark not been fouled, because I strongly believe Clark would have obviously stood up and at least put Benteke off. So the chance wouldn't have been as easy. So for me, it was a perfectly good VAR decision. And I don't think Palace can have any complaints about that. But yeah, I think the main concern was, for me, the midfield, and kind of, we just don't have anyone to kind of take control of the ball. Like Dino says, we were poor on the ball today. And I think, and yeah, again, saying exactly the same thing, just not good enough. And that is the concern. But what I would say is, look, I think we saw some improvements in terms of a defensive cohesion, like working together defensively. Okay, Palace maybe not the best opposition. Thankfully, Benteke didn't really have his shooting boots on today. And that was lucky for us that he didn't, because if he did, we would have been out of sight, I think. But going forwards, Jones now has a chance to work with them for the next week. Okay, Chelsea. Look, Chelsea's a free hit. I've just texted my dad there before, and he sort of replied, yeah, but Chelsea, it doesn't matter. No one's expecting us to do anything against Chelsea. As long as we can put some work into kind of getting more possession and passing the ball better and all that kind of stuff, I really think that we can do okay. So, sorry, let's go to Mark. So yeah, Mark's again agrees with me. Much better today. Watching Newcastle always feels like watching a team who've gone down to 10 men. Yeah, like I said, it's just really struggling to kind of get a foothold in the game. I actually did think we'd go down to 10 men at one point. It looked like we're going to end up with like Richie sent off or someone, but I don't know. It's just, we've got some interesting games coming up for sure, and it's going to be a long season. We know that. We're already 9 games in now, and we haven't won yet. Probably, it's unlikely we'll beat Chelsea, but you never know. They're the next 6 matches now. Chelsea at home, so okay, fair enough. Tough match. Brighton away is not going to be easy. They're playing really well, but I'd like to think we might improve enough to give ourselves a chance at Brighton away. And I can't remember the date of that one, but I think that might come after the international break. So hopefully we'll have a bit more time to work on stuff in terms of offensively. For me, and I don't know what other people think about this, but I want to see more of Almiron. I think the substitutions Jones made today were good, because I think Fraser and Longstaff, just for me, they didn't really influence the game. Fair enough, Fraser's hardly kicked the ball, so what can you expect from him? But bringing Miggy on and Willock definitely improved us, and I want to see more of that going forward. And I think, because they're better players, like they're better players than the players that went off, in my opinion. So I think that helped us, and I think towards the end of the game, it was. I think Palace were still always favourites to go on and get that winning goal, but we were definitely more in it in the last 20 minutes when those players came on, and I think that's a real positive. So we've got a few players who can come in and actually make a difference. And what I will say, I've put this on Twitter, but for me, and I know people, he's not popular for whatever reason. Well, we know why he's not popular, right? Because he cost 40 million quid. But I actually think Joe Linton has a role in that team at the moment, because his close control. For me, when he has 2 or 3 players around him, apart from Sam Maximin, I don't think there's anyone better in our team in terms of close control. And he doesn't often lose possession. I know he does lose possession, but this season, I think whenever I've seen him, I think he's done a good job overall in those things. Now, obviously, we want more end product from him. We want him to be more confident going forwards. That's a big part of his game that's missing. But I don't know, just in midfield, and he's like a big guy, and I think I think he's got a job for us. I think he could do a job for us. we can't change the squad. We have who we have. We've got to use what we have. And I think that, just my opinion, but I think Joe Linton can serve a purpose for us. Forget the price tag. We know he's not worth 40 million, but I think he's also not as bad as we possibly make out. And I'm as guilty as anyone of slagging him off at times. But anyway, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Keith, evening, Keith. Just a shame Southampton and Wolves couldn't do us a favour and beat Burnley and Leeds. Yeah, Leeds got a draw, didn't they, as well, I think. But did Burnley win in the end? I didn't actually see their results. I'm going to have to look at the other results because I haven't kept right up to date with them. I know that Everton got hammered, though, didn't they? Like, what is going on there? Watford stuffing Everton 5-2. Didn't see that one coming at all. In fact, my predictions for today, if you watch my predictions video, it's shocking. 2-2, Southampton 2, Burnley 2. Okay. Not the end of the world, but it would have been nice if Burnley had dropped another point, yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Saying Alan St-Maximin should be on the left. Yeah, I think that was the other thing I guess about this day was that sorry, I'm just getting a weak connection signal on here. Hope the stream sort of holds up all right. So anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying now. I've totally forgotten what I was saying. Just want to go to, where is it? Because I'll just mention this now. A few people on, because I'm really grateful to everyone. Where is it? There we go. That one. Yeah, 2,000 subs. Thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed to my channel. Hit 2,000 subs today, which is amazing. And on my community tab, I've put a little post because I'm going to do a question and answer video. I've not done one for about 2 years nearly. So yeah, so if you've got any questions about anything at all, just put them on there, or just message me on Twitter, and that would be really cool. But yeah, thanks. I can't believe it. It's pretty cool, isn't it? 2,000 subs. So there you go. Thank you to everyone who subscribes. And if you don't subscribe and you're watching this stream, then consider subscribing. Go check my stuff out. If it's stuff you like, then please subscribe. If you don't enjoy it, there's no pressure to subscribe. But it's nice that people do, so thank you. This is the current Premier League table as well, just talking about what we were going on about in terms of like results and stuff. So, obviously Norwich got hammered today. We're 19th on 4 points. Burnley also on 4 points. So, yeah, we would have gone above Burnley had Burnley lost to Southampton. But then we don't want Southampton going away from us too much either. So, actually, a draw there in the bigger picture, maybe not a bad thing. Leeds as well, getting a point, not good. Watford winning wasn't a good result for us really today. But it's a long season. We've got a lot of games left. And, we can get out of it. But, I don't know. It was just so frustrating today just to see the team. Like the first half I was watching, I was just like, this is just normal, isn't it? This is just what we've come to expect from Newcastle with slightly improved defence. But it's a short week and we'll see what we can do. Right, let me just see some of the comments. Let's get some of your comments on here. Blakey, these players are so used to not having the ball. We are lucky if we have 30% in any game. It will be really difficult for anyone to change much with these players. We just need to stay in there till January. And I agree with that. It's a case of just not being out of touch come January. If we can be, even if we're third bottom, but there's not like a 3 or 4 point gap or bigger from third bottom to safety, we've got a chance to be okay, but we have to pick points up. And, it's not going to be easy because our December looks horrendous. And I'll show you the December fixtures in a minute because after the Burnley match, we've got a very, very tough run. So, but I agree, the players aren't used to, it's like a change in mindset. It's like a change in understanding. It's a change in everything, isn't it? It's just kind of, the players have been so conditioned to what we've done for the last 2 years. And to be fair, even under Rafa, we didn't really ever dominate games. We always struggled for possession. So really, these players have had 3 or 4 years of, a lot of them have 3 or 4 years of kind of just playing this way, on the back foot, more defensively than anything, and not being able to express themselves. But we've got some players who can express themselves. So that's what I want to. That's what I want to see. Mark saying, agree about Joe Linton. He can hold the ball up, but he's not a striker. And that's it. He's not a striker. If we get that out of our heads that he's not a striker, I think there is a role for him in that team, in the kind of midfield position. Like I said, I thought he did okay when he came on today. He held the ball up. He's such a big guy. Like, he's strong, isn't he, and physical, and his close control is excellent. And I won't have anyone tell me it's not. Peter says he can serve a purpose until a better option becomes available, and that's the thing, Peter. We can only play with what we have until January or till the end of the season. You know, you might have a role until the end of the season, and that's fine. But we've got to get the best out of what we do have. And I think if you're looking at players with, you know, decent attributes, then someone who can hold the ball up a bit is going to be massive for us, because that is our problem. Going forwards and in midfield, we don't have people who can hold the ball up easily. I think Joe Linton could be that person. Just my opinion. I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not saying I am, but I just think I've seen enough from him recently to suggest that he's got a role to play in this team. And Matt's saying, yeah, hopefully he can hit a bit of form and recoup some of the money. Yeah, and to be fair to him, if we sell him, I'd wish him luck, you know? Wish him luck. Right, evening, Trev. Great to have you back. Thank you. I think we would have taken a point if offered before the game. Hopefully the start of some momentum. Yeah, absolutely. And this was always going to be quite a tough game. Palace are doing all right this season. They were unlucky against Arsenal on Monday, and then Arsenal obviously absolutely stuffed Villa last night. So, you know, what that maybe makes that result even look a little bit better. They should have beaten Arsenal on Monday Night Football. They were very unlucky, but yeah, just, you know, a point is better than a loss. Well, every point will count, and yeah, hopefully it's the start of something. And like I said, Chelsea's a free hit next week, but you know, we've taken points off Chelsea at home before. I know they just hammered Norwich, which is worrying, 7-0. But you know, at St James's Park, no Bruce in the dugout. The atmosphere is going to be amazing again. That might play into our favour. We just got to keep the faith with Jones just for the next game. I don't think that it sounds like Jones is doing at least the next game after this one as well. So he made a comment about doing 2 games. So he's obviously going to be in charge for Chelsea unless something massive changes this week. So we'll see, won't we? Rafa trying to get sacked so he can come home. Imagine that. I mean, what would people take Rafa? Let me know. If he became available, he's not going to become available, but would people take Rafa? I probably would at this point, just because I think he would be capable of organising us enough to get us out of it. I think so, but I don't know. Maybe not. St Maximin loses the ball a lot. Yeah, he did today, absolutely. And he if there is one criticism of his game, it is that. And there was a couple of occasions today, and I think against Tottenham too, where he just his pass wasn't good enough. Like there was, I can't remember it was obviously Wilson and someone else this afternoon, and they kind of it was almost like 3-on-2, and Sam Maximin was running, and he had a choice to pass here or here, and he basically just split the difference right down the middle, and it didn't go to either of the players, and the goalkeeper just scooped up. It was such a waste. That was in the first half, and that, you know, if Sam Maximin has ambitions of being like the top player, he has to be better than that at that point, you know. I love the guy, but I think there's stuff he can improve on. But then again, with a good manager with him, then, you know, hopefully he would be able to improve his game, because I'm sure he's still young, isn't he? It's still a hell of a lot more to come from him. I think we can all agree we've lost that game under the previous manager. I think so, just because I do feel like today we did defend a bit better, and I know that Palace were all over us, but I do think that there was less of a gap between the midfield and the defence today, and it was quite a solid wall of 5 most of the time when we were defending. There was the odd mistake. Not everything was perfect. Not everything's going to be perfect every game. So, you know, the team cannot defend at all. Try and sustain an attacking ethos. Can't be. Yeah, Gary. I think that's probably what the idea is, but also these, like as someone said earlier, like these players aren't conditioned to do that, and I think that's going to take a bit of time, because they've been playing one way for so long. But I do agree with that. I kind of I can't remember if I said it in a video or I wrote it down or something, but I said earlier in the week that, you know, perhaps our best form of attack would be to attack rather than our best form of defence would be to attack rather than trying to defend and hold on and kind of hit them on the counter attack, because that's not working for us particularly well. So I do agree with that, but I think that's something that's going to take time, and I actually think that Jones will work on that. Clearly, Jones's plan this week was to try and just make us harder to beat, And I think he sort of succeeded at that. It wasn't perfect, but I think he did succeed at that. Maybe St. Maximin should have come off earlier today. He wasn't at it all. Yeah, and to be fair to him, you can't rely on him every single game. He shouldn't. We can't. We've got to have other people who chip in and help and stuff. So I do agree with that. I just think I'd like to see it. Sometimes his final ball's still not. It's still not perfect. Eric, our defenders were all either past their prime, not good enough to even have had a prime, or just too old. No point clinging to the memory of half-decent seasons anyway. Yeah, that's true, actually. I have thought that, and I'm as guilty as anyone this last week of talking about, the past under Rafa and comparing it to Bruce. That all needs to stop now. We need to stop comparing Bruce to Rafa because actually neither of them are here anymore. It doesn't mean anything, and we've got what we've got. And what I would say is, yeah, a lot of those defenders are... They're not the top Premier League defenders. We know that, and they are getting older every season. So we've got to work with what we have as well. That's the other problem. Until January, we can't reinforce the defence. We can't do anything about that. So we've just got to find a way. We've got to find a way, really. Going back to Joe Linton, he's not a striker, therefore he's obsolete and slow and too slow. He is slow. That is the problem with him. I think the pace of the Premier League might be his issue. That might be the thing. I'm just looking for the comment that relates to. I'm guessing it's about the old owner. I don't know. In my latest video, I was talking about the potential naming of the stadium and selling it for rights, but I kind of made a pledge to myself that I'll try not to say the old owner's name anymore on this channel. So I'm going to try and see if I can do that. It's a bit petty, really, but I can't stand the guy. He who shall not be named. I love that. Yeah. And yeah, everyone deserves a chance under a new manager. I agree with that. So apparently we play Brighton on the 6th of November, then a 2-week break. All right, okay. So we've got 2 more matches before the international break. So maybe Jones might be in charge until, including Brighton as well, and then we've got the rest of the games after that. So I'll just put the fixtures back up actually because what we got. So we've got Brighton, Chelsea home, Brighton away. If we could pick up 2 or 3 points out of those games, I think I'd be over the moon with that. That's going to be a tall order, but we need to start getting some more points. And then we've got an international break followed by Brentford at home, which is a game you want to be targeting for a win. Maybe with a new manager, everyone will be buzzing. Hopefully they play. I don't know. You can always keep hoping. But look at this. We've got 3 after the international break. 3 of the next 4 games are at home. And they're at home to Brentford, Norwich and Burnley. Now, to me, you got to target those games as, you've got to be trying to win at least 2 of them. I would say, and try not to lose any of them. But as we all know in the Premier League, it doesn't come as easy as that, especially when there's a lot of issues with the way the team plays and the squad. And then what's really scary is this. So after we play Burnley, which is the 4th of December, these are all our matches in December. Look at that. So we're away to Leicester and Liverpool. Both of those games are just going to be absolutely solid. And then we've got Man City at home, which is, again, a really tough fixture. And then we've got Man United on the 27th. Now, you might say, Man United, they're not playing that well. But the chances are by then they'll probably have a new manager and they'll probably be absolutely flying, which is what I'm concerned about. And then away to Everton. Now, obviously, Everton had a shocking result today, but overall this season they've done all right. So it's not away to anyone in the Premier League. It's not going to be easy. Away to Everton, I'm not looking at those fixtures and thinking there's a huge haul of points to be had there. You look at Burnley, and I mean, what other fixture out of those apart from the Burnley game would you say is the most likely that we'll pick another point up in? I'd probably say Everton. So that means you've got 4 games there in a row that are going to be really, really, really tough. So it's going to be so difficult in December. It's going to be. I mean, we never seem to do that well in December anyway. But to have fixtures that hard in a row is tough. That said, the fixtures after that, I haven't created a graphic for that, but the fixtures after that, in January and stuff, we've got a nice run. A more what's the word? Like a more reasonable run of fixtures in January and February. So again, that's you're going to have to target those games for that. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Yeah, hard December. Going to be lonely this Christmas. It's going to be very, very tough. And to be honest, if we're not in the bottom three by 2022, I'll be surprised. I think I'll still be surprised unless we go on some run in the next few games. I think we could seriously have to be realistic about the fact that we're probably going to be in the bottom three come January. And as someone said earlier, it's all about just staying in touch. It's staying in touch with that fourth bottom place and fifth bottom place and making sure that there's not a massive gap opens up. We've just got to not lose to those teams around us and try and beat as many of them as we can as well. People chatting about the next manager. So I'll come on to that in a minute. So yeah, going on, Saint-Maximin, Willock, Fraser, Miggy in midfield would do the trick. I think having Almiron back in the team is good. His energy is going to be a good thing. Willock as well. I'm sure that Willock will recapture some of the form. I can't speak for everyone, but I always thought Willock's run of goal scoring was never going to just magically reappear this season. But I think I would expect a bit more from him performance-wise than we've seen. And I think that if we can get him back to kind of that level of play that he had when he played at the end of last season, then that's going to be a massive bonus for us going into like this next run of fixtures before January. It's just such a mess we're in, isn't it? Like it's such a mess. It's such a Newcastle thing to have happened. Like Ashley, I've just said his name. That didn't last long, did it? I tried. Yeah, he's basically left us in an absolute mess. And it's such a big hole to dig out of. I just don't know. I just don't know what we're going to do. The fitness was poor, and that is absolutely evident as well. The fitness of the team is shocking, but that is something that can be changed fairly quickly just with better routines. So I think these players, should get into November and December even a lot fitter than they are now. Hopefully, being able to sort of play a bit more in teams' faces, So let's. Mark says we tend to play better against the top six. We might get more points from December than November. Interesting point. I mean, like I said, Chelsea next week, we've got a pretty decent record against Chelsea at home. So there's always possibilities in football, isn't there? With the crowd behind us at St James's and that kind of thing. We'll see what happens. Aaron as well. Evening, Aaron. All the top teams December when we don't expect to get points just means more winnable games with a transfer window behind us, and that's kind of how it looks. If you look at the January February fixtures, they're not against the top 5, top 4, whatever. There's a sort of a run of games where you think, yeah, there's points to be had, and I think that we just have to make sure. I think so. Again, I was chatting to someone on Twitter last night saying, we want signings early in January, not at the end of January. We don't want them at the end of the window, otherwise that's another month without reinforcements in the squad. So we've got to hope that the new owners have got their structure in place by the time it gets to January, in terms of like scouting and all the basically. George Holkin keeps saying there's no football structure at Newcastle United because it's just been run on bare bones for so long. There's literally no structure of staff there. So they're building from nothing. And I think that's why this is taking time to appoint a manager, because it's just taking ages to get the right people in. They've got such a big job. It's crazy. I think we do still have to remain patient, but it's hard to remain patient when you know that every single game matters and counts and things need to change. So I don't know. I have a feeling the team's Newcastle player are going to use a lot of dark art. See how many penalties need to get the team fit. Yeah, so looks like you're a Liverpool fan by your badge. Yeah, so you're saying like there might be some sort of underhand stuff going on against Newcastle Possibly. I mean, we've had a few conspiracy theories, haven't we, about stuff and quite blatant corruption. So it wouldn't surprise me, but we'll see. So expecting a loss at Palace. So a point, 1 point towards safety. Every point counts. If we can get up to 38 points, 37, 38 points is usually enough. Most seasons, I think we were the last team to go down with 37 points. And then every season since then, it's been a lot lower than that. So if we can get to, obviously 40 points is the magic number, really, isn't it? Just then you're definitely safe. So hopefully we'll be all right. Ian, do you think there could be potential issues for Newcastle in the January transfer when the Premier League clubs refuse to do business or sell any players to them? Yeah, I heard this today about some clubs sort of almost making a pact not to sell to us. Now, that obviously can't happen. Like legally, that would be illegal if that was a thing. But if it's an unwritten thing, then there's nothing to stop them doing that. However, the reality is money talks in football, and there'll be players wanting to move, and there'll be agents wanting moves. And they're not going to be fussed whether their clients go to Newcastle United or some other club. They'll be wanting to go where the money is. And I think, we'll see what happens. But maybe there will be some reluctance to give us players or sell us players. But at the end of the day, there's hundreds and thousands of players in Europe and other parts of the world that we can tap into. So I'm not overly concerned. And I think ultimately, if you throw them, we might have to. Everyone knows we've got money, and I think we will have to pay a premium just because people will want their share of the Saudi money. That it's going to be inevitable anyway. And exactly, Blakey. So people do business with us. Money talks at the end of the day, and that's how I feel about it. I think it's all right them saying that, but if someone's offering them a lot of money, it is what it is. We don't need players from other Premier League clubs, anyways. Oh yeah, okay. You're just sort of making the point I've just said, Eric. Yeah, so. Yeah, we don't necessarily need to just shop in the Premier League. I guess they might want to, though, because they might want some players with Premier League experience and that kind of thing. So I can understand that. But at the end of the day, these days, there's a lot of good players come from abroad. So it's probably not going to be too much of an issue. Mark, every fan of other clubs I've spoken to has done nothing but wish us well. It's the club. That's true. Yeah. In real life, people I know that I've spoken to, obviously only over text messages and stuff at the moment because I'm still in isolation until tomorrow. They're all saying good luck. Yeah, good luck, Newcastle. I've seen that. I saw a lot of the Arsenal, because obviously Arsenal have got potentially a lot to lose from us becoming very good in their current predicament. But some of the the Arsenal AFTV crew and stuff, there's been some really good stuff on there aimed at Newcastle fans and sort of wishing us well and good luck to us and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's right, Mark. It's the owners, isn't it? It's like it's because they're the ones that are being affected in the pocket, really. And at the end of the day, they're panicking because it's money, and it's a level of money that none of them can compete with. So we'll see. Yeah, it's very childish, but again, it all comes down to money, doesn't it? It's just crazy, really. Here's a question for everyone then. Just I know some people have sort of talked about it a little bit further up the thread. These guys look to be the next 5. These guys seem to be on the shortlist. This is the 5 that it seems to be whittled down to. So who are you taking out of that lot? Is there anyone on that list that you would absolutely want to avoid? Or would you be happy with any of them? Let me know in the comments. Personally, for me, I think Fonseca seems like a good option. From what I've tried to do a bit of research on Favre and Fonseca, and both would seem like good options. I think I don't know. Favre seems to kind of has had kind of more success, if you like. He seems to, if you read about them, possibly, but I think they'd both be good choices. So I'm not too concerned. That the only issue about Fonseca is, from what I've read, is like his style in terms of defensive play. But I don't know whether that's just people saying that or whatever. He can't be too bad, I don't think. He's done all right in his career. So, but I'll be honest, I had heard of him, but I didn't really know anything about his managerial record. before he was linked with us. But I didn't know anything about Favre either, if I'm honest, because as I've said before on this channel, I don't follow a lot of European football, so I don't have massively strong opinions on a lot of the managers and players and stuff because I just don't have time to watch it all. If I could, I would, but I just don't, you know. Welcome, DJ. A friendly Mackham, actually, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome along. Nice to have you here. Not a great result for Sunderland today, losing to Charlton. What is it about that team? I don't know. Interesting though. But Mick McCarthy's now free. Let's get Mick McCarthy in to save us from relegation. Aaron says the Lampard's the one I trusted least to get us out of trouble. I've read as well. I don't know if there's so many reports about, isn't there? But I think I read today that Lampard has ruled himself out because he doesn't think that we could survive. So that kind of, if that's true, if that's his opinion, which he's entitled to, yeah, obviously we wouldn't want him anywhere near the club. So, you know, fair play. If he doesn't believe it or not, then if he doesn't believe in it, then you can't appoint him. So, you know, I don't. Maybe Lampard's ruled himself out anyway. So maybe it's down to the other four. The stuff about Eddie Howe's gone quiet. The Martinez story's kind of picked up more. I think it seems like it's going to only cost about £2 million to release him from Belgium, and you know, I don't know how people feel about Martinez. I'm wary of him just because of his past in terms of the Premier League. You know, at the end of the day, we don't have a great squad. But I don't know. This is such a hard decision for these owners to get right. I was saying to my friends earlier today, just over WhatsApp, this is not a decision I would want to be making. The new owners have a hell of a task on to get this right. They've got one shot at getting this right, and if they misfire, then we are doomed. Like it's such a massive decision, and to me, it's no surprise that the consortium have got a million different views on it. But at some point, they're going to have to make a decision, and I think they're going to speak to more people this week. So I guess once they've spoken to other managers, they'll make a decision, and that's fine. But it's such a massive decision for the club. It's one of the most important decisions that the club have had to make for years and years and years, because there's so much hinging on it. And who do you get? Like you need a manager who is capable of keeping us up, and then possibly then rebuilding us and moving on. So I don't know. It's the pressure to get this decision right is unbelievable, and I would not want to be taking it. Yeah, Mark's saying Worry's got no Premier League experience. Well, that goes for Favre and Fonseca, doesn't it? I guess you're talking about Fonseca, maybe, if I was talking about him. But and that's the other issue, isn't it? It's like, this is what I mean. They've got to get this right. So they've got to be sure that if this person's not managing the Premier League before, that they're going to kind of have the methods to keep us up. Now, I'm not saying go out and get, you know, Allardyce or whatever. Nothing like that. I think if you're a good manager, you're a good manager. But also you've got to be realistic about where we are. And I don't know, it's just such a massive, massive thing. Do I think that we'll get an Amazon All or Nothing series to document the transformation? I think I read like a few days after the takeover that Amazon had already approached the club about that, so it could already be in the works. It might already be in the works. So yes, I think it will happen, and I think it'll be really interesting if they did. I wonder if it'll be one season though, or whether it could even be like a 2-year thing, that they follow the club for 2 years, maybe. Hopefully survive this season, and then I don't know. I know that's not the format of All or Nothing, because it's always one season or one period of time. It's an excellent series, by the way, if anyone's ever seen them. I mean, it started off with NFL teams. It started off with I think the Arizona Cardinals were the first one, and then the Rams were the second season. Both of those were awesome, and the Rams one was really good because that was like when they got rid of their head coach Jeff Fisher and Sean McVay came in, and it just like right at the end of that season, it was really really interesting. So if you've not watched All or Nothing on Amazon Prime, go and watch it, because every series is brilliant. There's an All Blacks series as well, when the All Blacks played New Zealand in the when the All Blacks played the Lions during the Lions tour like 4 years ago, whatever it was. That was an awesome series. And then obviously there's been Man City and Tottenham. all really, really good. You just get a really good behind the scenes look at an elite sporting thing. So it's really good. Let's see what some of your comments are. Let's have a look. Hello, Connor. This manager doesn't seem too clever either. Yeah, Big Sam Lol. Yeah, don't want his name anywhere near us again. Good evening. Right. I would like Lampard. Loved him as a player and feel he'd be hungry for success after Chelsea. Yeah, unless reports are to be believed that he doesn't think that we can survive. I wasn't against Lampard. I know there was a big split of opinion over Lampard, so I don't think it will be Lampard personally. I think they'll go for someone more experienced. That's my opinion. Just Keegan and Shearer in. Yeah, I think that's passed, hasn't it? Andy, it's my brother. Hello, Andy. Martinez is a clever coach, but record in England is mixed, and that's what makes me really nervous about Martinez. It's like, he's got a really mixed record. Like, he did really well, didn't he? He won the FA Cup, but then got relegated in the same season, I think it was. Just makes me worried. Defensively, there was always issues around his team, and at the end of the day, we don't have good defenders at the moment. So, very, very kind of worrying. That's true, Aaron. If he has said that, it's just a report though, so no one really knows, do they? I think there's a lot of things being printed that no one really knows what's going on. But these stories must come from somewhere, I suppose. Maybe just people imagine them. But Connor says, get someone in for 18 months, steady the ship, move on. Yeah, possibly. But then, like I've said several times, this rebuild of the club is going to happen in phases. And if you look at like Man City, it took them like 3 or 4 managers before they started really settling down to be consistently amazing. And this is not going to be a quick thing for Newcastle. And ultimately, we have to survive this season. Like we cannot afford to be relegated. And it's hard to plan beyond this season until you know where we're going to be. So it's so hard. It's honestly such a tough decision. My heart still thinks Jose, even though he's struggling. Yeah, there's an argument for that mentality of a siege mentality because Newcastle is under attack from all corners, and we've had loads of it since Bruce has gone this week from all corners of fans and media and everything, and it has been awful. And also, at the end of the day, we are all in this together, fans, the club, the players, everything, and we do have to get through it. Jose's not going to come here now, though. He's got a job. I know he didn't do very well midweek, did he? Got a hammering in Norway or somewhere. 6-1, I think it was, Roma lost. But maybe one day he will. I don't know. It's hard to say, isn't it? But like, you sort of feel like Mourinho, I don't know, just never seems to work for him anymore. And I might be wrong. I might be wrong on that. Tom saying, forgive me if I'm wrong, I think it was the producers of Sunderland Till I Die. Oh, okay. Who rather than Amazon, who'd approached the club to make a documentary. Fair enough. You can't blame them for trying to get that gig. But it would be a good documentary. I hope someone makes it. I really do. Yes, Geordie Bill. Yeah, Watford got stuffed 5-2, wasn't it? I don't know. I don't think so, but you never know, do you? Stranger things have happened, but I think Rafa's job will be safe for a bit yet. Yeah, the defence is absolute priority. We need to adjust the way we play football matches as well. We need that's Eric. You're spot on. We need a creative midfielder. We need a midfielder who can break things up and control a game. You just think of like players like Tiote and stuff in the past. That kind of player who they do the dirty work and they do it well and they don't grab the headlines. We need someone in the middle of the park who can do that sort of thing. I think we've got enough attacking flair around us to kind of utilize that kind of player. I think it's the fact that we don't have that anyone who can control the ball in the center of the park. Mad. Evening, Paul. Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Last day in isolation tomorrow, so I'm free on Monday, which I can't wait for. Fonseca sounds appealing. A nice little 2-finger salute to Levy as a bonus. Yeah, of course, because he was. I don't know what happened there, actually. Does anyone know the story? But apparently he was going to become Tottenham manager, but then for some reason didn't. I don't know whether that was on Fonseca or on Tottenham who pulled the plug on that contract or whatever, but I don't know. Blakey, realistically, how many players do we need in January? Whole new defence, couple of creative. Realistically, I think you don't want to be bringing like 10 players in. That's my point. You've got to work with what you've got, and then you need to complement them with, I would say, 4 or 5 players. I wouldn't want to bring any more than that in January, personally. I think if you bring 4 or 5 in, you could bring a couple of defenders, another striker, someone in midfield, and I think we'll be all right. But they've got to be decent players, obviously. But I'd be surprised if we brought like 7 or 8 players in. I mean, that's very, very dangerous, isn't it? Doing that, that's risky. That's a risky strategy if you bring like a whole team in. Plus, you've got to then get rid of players as well. And I don't know. There's only so much you can do in January, in a sense. But I don't know what everyone else thinks about how many players you think we need, where we need players. Clearly, a good centre half would be a good shout. Fullback, I don't know. There's gaps everywhere, isn't there? And there's not the depth in the squad either. That's the other thing. We do need a playmaker as well. It'd be interesting to see what Willett can do there. I think he could possibly be that player with the right coaching, but we'll see. I think Martinez could be better as an international than a club manager. I'm not sure about him. It didn't work out for him well at Everton. Yeah, Everton and Wigan as well. Yeah, it didn't go well for him at Everton at all, did it? Let's get Phillips from Leeds. He's class. He is class. Would Leeds want to be selling him during the middle of a possible relegation battle on their half as well? You know, they're not doing that well this season. So you never know though. Money talks, like I say. If you throw enough money at players, maybe they'll come. We don't dominate games. We don't. And this is the problem. Like we just, but the problem with that is we don't have holding midfielders who are capable. So in terms of like signings, that's what we need. That's what I'm saying. We need that kind of player who can break a game up and control it. And we don't have that at the moment. We're really lacking that, actually. And that shows because our possession stats are always appalling because we can't keep hold of the ball. So it's like we clear the ball and then it comes straight back at us. We couldn't get out of Palace's half in the first half today at all. It was honestly embarrassing. But yeah, it's a really good point. It's a really good point. And Andy as well, centre half, full back, holding midfield, centre forward. That's kind of what I would go for, to be honest. A good centre half, a good full back, right on the right hand side for me personally. I think more than the left. I think I still trust Dunnett to do a half decent job. Personally, I think he's okay, and I think that we could do that. We definitely need more strength up front in terms of a centre forward because if Wilson gets injured, we are knackered, and that is a massive, massive worry for us. So, yeah, and the holding midfielders, absolutely. The team's good enough for mid-table. Just need to believe in yourselves. One win will change it. Yeah, thanks for that. I think that's right, and I think it's getting that first win now is because we're so far into the season that getting that first win becomes harder, doesn't it? Almost, but we have done this before. We did it under Rafa when we went 11 games without a win. We went 11 games without a win. No, 10 games without a win, and we won the 11th game. So it has happened before, and we survived. So we're all right. And look, if this team can click and get a few results in a row, then yeah, confidence will go up, and hopefully and that's kind of what we're all praying for, really. Or you can think we need a whole new team. We do need a whole new team in time, but we also have to just work with what we've got this season. You know, there's not a lot we can do. We can't do anything till January at all. So we've got to find a way with what we have to make it work better. And that is, that's the job of whoever comes in as manager. Then we're going to have to get to work really quickly. Man City winning 3-0 already. Wow, that's incredible. Do our business on the 1st of January, so clubs would have a month to replace anyone we buy. And I know people are saying about Phillips from Leeds as well, but that would be good, wouldn't it? But I don't know how realistic that is. That's the thing. We're linked with so many players, but that he is exactly the kind of player we need. So if someone's prepared to come to us who's that good in January, then fair enough. But we might end up with like someone who's better than what we've got, but not as good as him. And that's kind of where we're at the moment. Until we survive, it's going to be hard attracting like really, really good players. I agree. I would start Miggy next against Chelsea. I would. His energy, we talk about a lack of fitness in the squad and all that kind of stuff. Almiron seems to be able to have a lot of energy, and I want to see him more. Okay, he should. His end product, I've always argued, is not enough. But again, we have what we have, and he is one of our better players, undoubtedly. So hopefully we'll see more of him. And I think maybe him getting half an hour today was a sign that it was just getting him ready to get back into matches, because he's not played much football really this season. Well, he hasn't played much recently. So the Spurs director of football vetoed his appointment because he wanted a more defensive minded coach. Yeah, I've heard this about Fonseca and the fact that he's an attack minded coach. But from what I've read and sort of checked up on him, what he likes to do is play out from the back. And I've got no problem with an attack minded coach, but I think he would shore us up defensively. I think like Fabian Schär would be someone that he could work with, because he's like a ball playing centre half, and I think that he could maybe build around him. But we'll see what happens if he comes in. Man City frightening. Yeah, they're just incredible, aren't they? The level that they play at is just insane. 4 or 5 decent players in January, then 7 in the summer. Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of the signings in January might be loans as well. I think a couple of loan signings. We'll see what we can come up with. I agree with that. Phillips is kind of summer signing, exactly. And like Phillips isn't going to leave. I don't think Leeds are going to let him go. Especially look at where they are in the league. Like they are above us basically. They're 4th bottom. Let me just get rid of that message from there. Whoops. Oh gosh, what disappeared? There we go. So yeah, look, Leeds have only got 7 points. They're struggling as well. And for them to, they would really have to have sort of just given up their ideas of survival if they're going to get rid of a player like that. The other thing is, I've got a friend who supports Leeds, and he was saying like Leeds' squad's really, really small, and they've got a lot of injuries. So again, it's just not going to be in their interest to sell someone like that. And why would he come to us at this moment in time? Yes, if we survive, great, but that's why it would be a summer signing, like Andy says, rather than one that's realistic in January. So sorry, I'm trying to click all buttons and stuff. We can do better come January, but Chowdhury could have done a job between now and January if we could get him over the line. Interesting shout. Yeah, so there are players that we might be able to pick up, but we'll see, won't we? It's always difficult this period when you can't strengthen your squad. When we play Chelsea, I'd like to try and keep setups. Sorry, I can't read that. When we play Chelsea, I would like us to try and keep 0-0 setups. Set us up so that we. Oh my goodness, I can't read it. That way, after seeing them today, we're handful for any team. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, Chelsea, you mean? Just trying to keep it tight for Chelsea, I think is what you're trying to say. Sorry, that was just a really embarrassing moment of me not being able to read then, so apologies for that. Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Try and keep it tight. I think that's what he'll do. Obviously, that's what he did today against Palace. He tried to keep it tight. It did work to a certain extent. There was, like I said, there was a few mistakes, and there's nothing you can do. Football players are going to make mistakes. They're not going to play perfectly, especially when they're low on confidence and maybe not feeling amazing about themselves like some of our players will be. So seems like there's a bit of a consensus of opinion about getting 4 to 5 players in. We've got enough good players in the squad to be able to, for like 3, 4, 5 players to lift them enough. I totally. Fonseca, a bit like Ancelotti's football. Defensive record last season was abysmal, but he makes up for that in goals scored. That's really interesting. But I think there was other issues at Roma as well, wasn't there, in terms of like ownership changes and that kind of thing. So I don't know. We'll just see. Everyone laughing at us with everyone we're linked to. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of players as well, like we've got to be realistic. Like, we're not going to attract big name players at the moment. We're in a relegation battle. Who's going to want to come here at the moment? Until we survive. Once we survive, fingers crossed we survive, it's a whole different ball game when you get to the summer transfer window, because then you can sell the vision and the dream. Look, we've got this coach. Look, we've got this much money. We're going to invest in this team. This club is going to take off. But until we've survived in the Premier League, you can't say that to players. So the players that come in January, they need to be better than what we have, but they're not going to be players who are like willing to come to Newcastle just because we have money. That's not what's going to happen, and you're not going to get players who want European football coming because they want European football, and we're not going to be able to offer them that next season. So, look, and it's the same for the manager as well. We're not going to get the cream of the crop of managers yet, and why would we? But we just need someone who's going to organise them better, set us up better, play better football, keep it tighter at the back, and score more goals. We'll be fine. We actually score an all right amount of goals. We've scored before today. We were 10th in terms of goals scored in the league, which is for a team like us is above where we expect to finish. So that's good. So we just need to keep the faith in the players we have got. Just become more solid. Like I said, get that defensive midfielder who can break the game up. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. I think we will be all right. I'm hoping. Bit of team spirit as well. That'll go a long, long way. Confidence is low, right? So if we can get that win, as someone just said a minute ago, that's going to help confidence, and we can build on that. If we can get a good result against Chelsea next week, that'll be if we somehow manage to get a draw and we fight hard and we deserve it, then that's going to make everyone feel a lot better next week. Going to be a really tough game, obviously, but Chelsea won't really fancy coming to St James's Park, even though they've stuffed Norwich 7-0 today. Nothing to lose, and they would expect us to park the bus. Yeah, so we just got to be careful. Obviously, they've got quality players who can hit us. If we're pushing too many forward, they're going to just pick us off, aren't they? So we've got to be careful. But we'll see. And yeah, he's agreeing with you, so fair enough. Money talks. You can't assume we will not get the top players. Yeah, but we're not going to get players who want to play European football next season. So we're not going to get the top players, in my opinion. We might get some good players, but they're going to be of the level of kind of like, the players who are happy to sort of play for teams who are like in the top half, but not competing in Europe. So we might be able to entice some. There might be some players looking for a big money move who just want to come and say, yeah, well, I'll be a focal point for Newcastle moving forward, and we'll survive. And you put a clause in the contract if we get relegated that they can leave or whatever. We might get a bit of that. We'll just have to wait and see. But we've also got a lot of games to play before then, haven't we? Just need to do a West Ham or Leicester for the next couple of seasons and progress from there. Yeah. Well, we just need to survive. Greetings from Thailand. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Very nice of you to be here. And if we have to give them players a release clause, if they were to be ready, exactly that's what I've just said. Yeah, so I agree with that. That might happen. Okay, so let's just. This was the. There it is. I thought it wasn't going to pop up then. These were the match stats from today. So obviously 1-1. By the way, how good was Callum Wilson's goal? Like, what an awesome way to get us back into the match. So an overhead kick right into the top corner. If you've not seen it yet, you're in for a treat because it's really, really good. Corner came in. I think it was Lascelles headed back across, and Kraft actually got a touch on it, which I didn't realise until I watched the replay a few times. Kraft sort of got a second touch on it, and it just fell perfectly for Wilson, who just overhead kicked it straight into the top corner. It was outrageous, to be honest with you. Absolutely outrageous. So there's the end of the stats. Look, so 25% possession in the full game. So that's something that we need to improve on. We need to be at least getting 35, 40% in some of these matches, especially against teams like Palace, who are in the bottom half. We shouldn't be being dominated by a team like that. So that's something that we need to work on. Passing accuracy as well. But again, I think a lot of that comes down to just not having the right players, in a sense, not having that confidence and kind of players to hold the ball up nicely. We always seem to be outnumbered by there always seems to be 2 or 3 men round our players whenever we go into the opposition's half, which is a bit worrying because teams clearly play against us that way. Like we clearly get over the halfway line and there's not enough men going forward that they can be sort of marked by 2 people or more. And this is what I was saying about Joe Linton earlier. One of the good things about Joe Linton is when he's in that position, his close control is very good and he can kind of manage it and pass it. But we need more of that from more players, and we need to somehow find a way of pushing more players forward and just being, again, comes down to like a cohesive play, doesn't it? It comes down to kind of, can we play as a team really well? It's I don't know. Yeah, the possession stat is terrible, and that's worrying, isn't it? I think this is a really important point that Mark makes as well. It's all right saying get someone in on a short term, but you know, who you're going to have to offer someone at least a season and a half, aren't you? You're going to have to give them at least another year. So you want someone who can then build, assuming you survive, someone that can build. So it's very tricky, very tricky. Anyway, I'm going to sign off in a minute. I just wanted to say, just before I go, I know there's quite a few people on who weren't on at the start. So I just wanted to very quickly say thank you to everybody who subscribes to my channel and has supported my channel over the last couple of years. Obviously, since the takeover, I've been back. I've got my kind of mojo back in that sense, in kind of making videos and kind of live streams and talking about Newcastle. I'm excited about it again. Had a tough time accepting the takeover had fallen through last year and lost interest in it. But yeah, hit 2,000 today. So thank you so much to everyone who subscribed. If you don't subscribe and you join in on the live streams, then I'd love it if you look at my videos and see if you like them and consider subscribing if you want to. I'm not going to force you to, obviously. But yeah, big thanks to everyone, really. And thank you very much to all those people who've signed up for my newsletter, which is out every Friday, straight to your inbox. So just look at the description below here. You can click on the link for that. Just need to put your email address in, and that's great. So overall today, just to sum it up, happy with the point. I would have taken a point before the match. And there's obviously still lots of issues in the team that we're going to be talking about from now until the end of the season, no doubt. But hopefully we saw some signs of improvement in terms of the defence today. And hopefully with a bit more training on, a bit more input from Jones as the main man, we can get a bit better. So we'll see. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. At least we didn't lose, and that's something that's a good thing. So another point towards safety, hopefully. But yeah, loads more videos this week. So just look out for them. Be great. Thank you, and have a good weekend.